that they beat him up when he fell in the bottom of the ditch, and we went down there, but to see where he jumped across. And that's about all I remember about it. But we talked to the people there, because we used to marvel at people when they were 40 years old. They would come in and be so tired, and they'd say, "Oh, I'm so tired. I worked so hard today." I said we were thinking people were old at 40. They were talking. But
we know better, don't we?
we know better now.
Well, but then you have been working all that time. Now, later on, I gather from Harry that they had meetings in the upstairs in the city hall.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that. I don't remember where they had the meetings.
What were the rumors and talk after people knew that the people got picked up and taken to Fort McPherson?
No, I couldn't recall anything concerning that. I know that when we found that the women were picked up, and we knew of Leona and Eddie Mae. And I don't know whether Leona was picked up or not. She was, because I don't believe she worked at that time. She probably didn't.
She was working, but she stayed back that day because she had a cold. She just happened not to be
Happened.
as
So you said for years that you've joked with Anna Mae about this?
Oh, I tease her about Talmadges. I know how they hated the Talmadges, and I tease her about Talmadge, and Eugene Talmadge was about the best governor Georgia ever had, and she gets stammering now. And I tease her about drinking. She hates liquor so bad. She gets sick. I say, a big drink of liquor would cure you. And she just can't bear the word liquor, not even the word, not even mention liquor.
Well, this was a prohibition town, was it?
Yes.
How did the mill feel about people drinking?
Oh, I didn't. Oh, we did have some of them that.
Don't look at me, I wasn't.
See, all of these I just hear about, so I wouldn't want to repeat. Like Dave Reed used to go up to see who was in jail. The superintendent of the mill would go up and see who was in jail, and he'd fire him if he was drunk. Because my uncle was in there. Uncle Jay was a loom fixer for him, and he fired him because they put him in jail, and he'd go look in the jail to see who was there. It's what we have always heard, and that's what Uncle Jay and Aunt Trump told us that.
Now, do you know how they assigned the houses in the mill village?
No, I know that the overseer originally started to assign the house, and the one that was the fixer and the loom fixer and the card grinder would get the best, get the choice houses, because they had a hard time getting loom fixers, and they would promise a house to the loom fixer, because my Uncle Jay worked here twice. He was a loom fixer in the mill that tore down.
If you got fired, would you have to move?
Yes, you'd had to move. Because my father got fired in 1923, before the strike, and we lived where the laundry is on Askew Avenue. There's an old drugstore. The house across the street that was moved across the street over there was there to build a drugstore there, and that's where we lived. And he quit in 1923, and we had to move. Moved into the second floor of an old hotel on Commerce Street here till we could move over on Elm Street.
Do you know why he got fired?
Well, this was what he told me, that Mr. H. Ogletree was his superintendent, and Father was working with the.
Okay. Here you go.
Hello?
But we've been out in East Noonan talking to people out there, and boy, the birds are around there. They're just really hot.
Could you tell me what kind of birds live in that house over there?
Bluebirds.
How many?
Well, the 4 using in one nest, 2 at the pump house. That's 6. 1 in that one is 8. That down there is 10. I got 10 sets I know.
Do you name them?
No, I can't. I have one of them bluebirds, all I can tell you. Yeah, they're all bluebirds.
Could you just tell us your name and your address when you were born?
My name is Lonnie Morris. I was born in 1915 in Cleveland County, Alabama. And we moved to Georgia the first day of July in '29 and moved to East Union Cotton Mill. I went to work in there and I was about 15 years old.
And what did you get paid?
The first check I drawed was $2.45.
But before that you worked, you're saying before that you worked for nothing.
A lot of them did, but I didn't. They would pay you if they wanted to give you anything. They would pay you what they wanted to give you. If they didn't want to give you nothing that 6 weeks, they didn't have to. When the 6 weeks was up, this is the bad part about it. When the 6 weeks was up, they would lay that crew off, bring another crew in to learn. Well, that's where textile at that time was mopping up on labor, getting labor for nothing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, this day and time, they wouldn't believe it if you told them.
Yeah.
But that happened right here. And that ain't been all that many years back. I know it was in '29 was when it was going on like that.
Now you were saying something about people not like to talk about that.
Well, one thing I think why they don't like to talk about it, it's really embarrassing to them in a way. And another thing, they're afraid that the company might kick back on them or something. There's different reasons for it, I think. But I don't mind talking about it. Truth is truth about anything in the world. And I tell you another thing, you work then. You work 11 hours a day, and you work till 11:30 on Saturday. And boy, it was work. I mean, you had to work. And textile, at that time, it was booming around Union. Which you could see why. And when the raised the wages, they had to go on the 8-hour law. Well, they had to go up to $12 a week then. Boy, I thought we was making money going and coming. That was a big payday. And it was pitiful times back then.
What happened when they had to pay you $12 and you worked 8 hours instead of paying you less and you're working 11 hours?
Well, they speeded up the machinery and added every bit on you they could. In other words, there wasn't no catching up to it. You would give out when you come out. They tried to double up, you see. And when I went to work there, they made yarn altogether. It was a sewing thread. They made the white sewing thread, all colored sewing thread. One in the old spinning room was white. The new spinning room was colored. And it was, like I said, it was work.
And you were working in the spinning room, were you?
Yeah. I started dolphin in the spinning room. Me and Preacher Furl, Pete Calhoun. I think Pete Calhoun is still living. And
I met a man named Roy Calhoun.
well, Pete's all we ever knew now. I don't know.
How old was he? About the same.
He's about the same age man.
We'll try to
He's
trace
about
him up
he's
there.
about 75 years
Yeah,
old,
yeah.
75, 76, and he lived down on the Gordon Road. He's still living. He's tall, man. If you seen a chimney sweeper, as they call him, that's him. And there was me, Grady Houston, and Preacher Furl, Cutter Getty, Harvey Bennett, and another boy. I can't think of his name. I don't think he was his first name, but he was again. We was the Dolphins, and I tell you, it was rough back then. It was almost like slavery time, to tell you the truth about it. And we was all young then. And when young people got off from work, they was ready to go home and go to bed. And that's the reason young people today, I think, is getting in so much meanness they don't know what a day's work is. And they never tire down at nothing. There's some big changes been made in my life.
Would you just tell us what it was like in the mill at the time?
Well, you mean for the tightness of the?
Yeah.
Well, the overseers, the superintendents, you could work your head off and they still wasn't satisfied. They thought you ought to do a little more. They watched you just like you was a convict. Only thing, they didn't have a gun over you, nothing like that. But they tried to watch every move you made, and they just continue to walk, just looking to seek if you find something. Again, you to fire you, really.
Yeah.
If they caught you standing for it. If you eat lunch, you had to eat it walking. You couldn't stop and eat. You had to be walking and working and eating all at the same time. And y'all understand that, because I know y'all done talked to enough people
Yeah.
till you understand what
That's
I'm
right,
talking
yeah.
about.
But you're putting it more vividly than I think anybody we've talked with.
Well, it's like I said, that there's a lot of people that don't like to come out with the truth, because they think that some companies might kick back on them or something. But I tell you, public works then, textile especially, it was the only difference in that was prisoner was you wasn't under a gun. And you didn't know one day from the next where you had a job or not, because anything they could find to fire you, that's what they'd do. Old man Monroe Wood, to show you how tight and strict it was. He even got it up in his head he's gonna make everybody go to church and Sunday school on Sunday. And made a lot of them go. And fired a lot of them because they didn't go.
Now, the Rainwater sisters, you may remember them.
Yeah, yeah,
They described Mr. Woods in exactly that same way.
he was. Yeah,
So
yeah they know.
just to let
Yeah.
you know that
Yeah.
you're not alone.
Yeah, yeah, all the old group
Yeah.
that has come out and told you the whole truth
That's it, yeah.
about it. That they can verify it. Everything I said was true.
Yeah.
I hate to see textile play out, but I'm afraid textile in the United States is going for good.
Looks like it is.
Yeah, it's going for good.
Now, back in 33, 34, you know, when the code came in and the
Yeah.
speed up and so forth, there was a lot of disruption here. Could you talk about that?
Well, that's when all that come up. They got to having wildcat strikes, and they called it wildcat strike, but it wasn't nothing but lockouts. It was went over to East Union Mill and took big chains and put big locks. and locked people out, which that was unlawful right there. You can't go to no man's place and lock it up legally. So we had all that to go through with, and had all that to live through with. So there went another crew. Yeah, they fired everybody that worked there. Because if anybody even went around over there where there was a picket fence and they could get their names, they fired them. But
Now, we were talking with a cameraman named Terhune, who said that he got hired by Callaway's to come over to LaGrange, and he said they built a platform over the gate, and they had him stand up there with a camera to photograph the strikers who were outside,
yeah, they did such as that. That was right.
to try to intimidate the people.
Yeah.
I just wondered if anything like that happened here.
Well, they didn't have nothing built up like that, but they found places where they could look out a window and get them like that. Yeah, that's all true
Do you
too.
recall any camera people around at that time?
Not really, cause I really didn't know who
Yeah,
they was.
we've got some pictures which you might like to see
Yeah.
of that event. Do you have a VCR here?
No, I don't have one.
Well, we might be able to hook it up with something we have if you're interested in seeing it.
Well, I wouldn't mind it.
Okay. But we've got some pictures that show this, and it actually shows some people who came from Hogansville over. Were you around when that thing happened?
Yeah, I was working East Newton when all that was going on.
Just tell us about it.
Well, I don't know where all those people come from to East Newton. But there was a bunch come there when they locked the gates and all. And then they set up and tried to organize a union and get all the people on the village that worked there to join up with them. And they got pretty well organized. And Mutt Jones was one of the union men. And that other old man, I can't think what his name was, because he just come down, but Mutt was the head.
Mutt Jones?
Yeah, Mutt Jones was.
M-U-T?
Yeah.
Mutt?
That's a nickname.
Yeah. That's Mutt's all now. I even know that's he had to have another name, but everybody known him as Mutt.
It's a
And he lived up on the Roscoe Road.
Is he
At
still
that time.
alive?
Huh?
Is he still alive?
Oh, he's been dead for years. I don't know how many years he had been dead.
he's a good bit older.
And there's a fellow Wilkins. He was a head man that, and he lived in LaGrange. But I don't know what his first name was. See, I wasn't in that. That's the reason I don't know too much about that. Cause I know when I told them when they got that, trying to get that started, you're gonna get everybody in this country fired. And it did. They took a lot of them to federal pen in Atlanta and locked them up, men and women and all. They got them up here at the old mill. See, the company that I worked for, they had two mills. Had East Newton and the old mill. And they got a bunch of them at the old mill.
You weren't at the old mill when they came and got
No,
arrested.
I was at East Newton.
I see. So
Yeah.
that because the footage we have is the films we have are of the troops coming to the new mill.
Well, I wouldn't know anything
To the
about
old
that.
mill. Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, that was.
So you never joined the union.
No, I never joined it. Cause I knew what it was gonna lead up to. You know, it was unorganized, and it was just a get up thing, and it was unlawful the way they was going at it. we know, we all know it's got any knowledge at all. You can't go to no place, don't it make no difference how they run it, and just lock it up yourself. You got to do that lawfully and have a lawyer do it. But they just slipped down there one night and locked everything, every gate up.
Put the chain across it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We've had people describe that. Yeah.
And I was, when they unlocked, when they broke the chains to go back in to East Union, I met John Christian. He was a yard foreman and machine shop foreman. And he's the man cut the locks. And my dad-in-law was the first one went in, Hayden Cofield. And I was second one went in when they opened the locks back up, opened the gates back up, rather. It was,
How long did you work there afterwards?
well, I worked 14 years there one time, then left and stayed gone about 3 years. Then went back and worked about 4 more years. And then I left there and went to Sergeant Textile. And I worked down there 38 years. And I left down there and come up here. That's where I retired from. I had to retire on disability. Insurance, I had 3 heart attacks and I had the third, and they wouldn't let the company work me anymore.
Yeah. So you retired what, in the late 50s?
No, I wouldn't. I was in my 40s
Oh, really?
when I retired. It's been a rough go through life, and that's the reason I don't mind telling y'all the truth, because I think the young people are coming on. I think they should know this
Well, that's
And-
one
and-
of the things we're trying to do.
and know about
Yeah.
what the elder people has went through.
You'd be interested to know that we just had a meeting last, Wednesday?
Friday.
Friday, with the school teachers over in the Newnan High School. At their request, they knew we were doing this, to go over what we're doing, because they want to teach it in the Newnan schools, and I'm very pleased about that.
Yeah, I'm glad to see it come out in the
Yeah.
open. I really am.
Yeah.
Because you take me, just any one individual, they tell the young people coming on now of what people has faced and everything. They think you just making up a story.
Yeah.
But they just don't
Well,
understand.
see, what we're involved in, we're making a movie for public television
Okay.
about this, trying to do exactly what you're describing.
Well, I think the public, I think you're working on a good thing.
What we'd like to do is to just make arrangements then later on to bring, the camera and the recorder and so forth, and talk with you about it on just exactly like we're doing now.
That'd be fine. Yeah, it'd be fine.
Why don't we show him some footage over here?
Okay.
Show him a little bit of the Opal McMichaels. You know her, Opal McMichaels?
Open my mouth, yeah. Mm-hmm.
She last summer she helped us, and she helped us with the reunion the other day. She's one of our best people. She's just amazing how well she talks.
Yeah, Opal, I've always thought a lot of Opal. Opal's always been a good girl.
And we've got a whole.
She's been a hard-working girl,
Yeah.
Opal
too.
Wilson.
And we've had a fair number of people who've had the courage to speak, but I don't think anybody has put it quite so right as you have in terms of the hardship and then why we should tell it, which I'm pleased about.
I don't know why. It really, it's like I said, I really can't understand the whole thing that they try to hold back.
Yeah.
Only thing I can, like I said, I can think of, it's sort of embarrassing to know you went through times like that
Yeah.
and experienced something like that. And then they feel like the companies might come back on them or something. Like,
Did you see that series on public television about the Civil War?
yeah, mm-hmm,
Well, that's kind of the kind of thing we're doing,
mm-hmm, yeah,
but we're trying to get it before everybody's gone.
yeah. I think things like that should be brought up to date
Yeah.
and brought out
Yeah.
and open to let it's teaching.
Yeah.
It is really teaching
Yeah.
the young ones are coming on.
Well, let's see if we can rig it up then. You got a television set.
Yeah.
We'll
mhm.
just, I think we can can put it into your television
All
set.
right.
Let's see if we can do that.
All right.
Do you want to talk some more while I
Sure.
go in?
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people say
Just leave it.
I've talked to different people myself, and they say, I don't even like to talk about what we had to go through with.
It's interesting, yeah.
But it's a,
Well, I know it may be interesting to you at the reunion. We had a fellow over from the University of Georgia, Georgia State,
mhm.
Les Huff, Dr. Les Huff, who was kind of the master of ceremonies and presented the whole idea. We showed some tapes. And then a number of the people did speak,
Yeah.
but not as precisely as you've done. You're very good.
And another thing about that, you didn't have no freedom with the companies. Say if you wanted to drink, you go off in another state, and if they got word, you was fired. Just anything in the world they could to find to fire you about. That's what it was after.
When did that start to change?
It started to really changing when the wage and hour law come in. That began to make the change then. 'Cause
I'm not speaking so much of the wages and hours as that domination by the mill.
it all made the
Oh,
change.
same.
Yeah, yeah. When the government stepped in on it, they seen that there had to be a change made, and they went to easing up, letting up. 'Cause up till then, I'd rather not use a name on this, but I knowed one man that was super. He even whooped his brother on the job 'cause he didn't do what he wanted him to do. But I wouldn't use his name on there. But that's how the situation was. You was,
What about the assignment of houses in the village?
well, they kept the houses up good. And then the house rent wasn't very much. And you didn't pay a light bill at all. And you didn't. But then the light, you just had lights, that was all. You didn't have enough juice to go, electricity to pull an electric stove,
Yeah.
TV. If it had been TV, it wouldn't have been enough juice
Yeah.
to pull it.
Yeah.
And
You remember when you first got your first radio?
well, my daddy had a battery radio when we moved there.
At 29.
Yeah.
That was early.
Yeah, he had a battery
He must
radio.
have been one of the first people in the village to have a radio.
There wasn't too many had 'em.
That's right.
No, there wasn't too many on there.
Was he a kind of a buff, interested in it? I wonder why he had one so early.
He liked to keep up with the
Yeah,
news
that's
and
one, yeah.
and everything. Yeah, he had. I forgot. Oh, battery radio. I forgot now how many batteries that thing took. It took several batteries to pull it. They didn't last too long. But that, like I said, lights is all you had.
What, do you remember the first time you heard Roosevelt?
Roosevelt come in power, I think, in
32.
32.
Yeah.
30. I know it's 30 or 32.
Well, he got elected in November 32, and then he came into power in March 33.
Yeah. He's a Roosevelt, in my eyesight and my way of thinking, is one of the greatest presidents we've ever had.
So
I will.
you can say that again.
I don't believe there'll ever be another president as good as Roosevelt was.
Right,
He put, there wasn't. I tell you, till he come in power, Hoover put just about everybody that was working out of work. And he got the world in such a mess that there wasn't no money in circulation. And my daddy was a farmer. And my daddy lost everything he had holding cotton, trying to get more for it. Wound up selling it for, I believe it's 5 cents a pound. That's what he wound up selling it for.
And then the boll weevil too.
Yeah. Yeah, the boll weevil worked on it, but the last year we farmed, we made a good cotton crop. I think we made about 148 bales, I believe it was. The last year we
place.
farmed.
How many acres did you have?
Oh Lord, I don't know how many. We had a 4-horse farm.
That's a lot of cotton.
Yeah.
A lot of cotton to pick.
I never did pick much cotton. My job was going to the gin. All of them,
Oh, yeah.
there's 14 in our family,
Uh-huh.
and all of them could pick a bale of cotton a day, and that was my job to load the cotton and go to the gin. So I never did pick very much cotton. Very little cotton I have picked.
My back's hurting just listening to that.
I used to tell people if I had to pick cotton for a living, I'd starve to death. That's something I just absolutely couldn't do much of. I had 2 sisters. They picked 500-600 pounds every day. Every day, come on. They picked 500-600 pounds.
How you doing?
Well, everything's fine except one of the connectors is so tight on your television I can't undo it.
Okay, let me see.
What did you want to get loose?
It's the cable that is connected that goes into your television set. You know, it's a screw-on.
Come on, let me see, and I'll undo it. Right.
You've been telling me about this.
Both of them made some of the prettiest cloth you ever laid your eyes on.
That was when they put the weave shop in?
Mm-hmm. I'd been there several years before they put it in. They made all kind of suits, cloth for suits.
Now, you see that? Can you see that all right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's winders.
Uh-huh.
That's where they're winding.
Does that look like the kind of place you worked in?
Yeah. That's if it's old mill, that wasn't where I worked, but it's the same machinery.
Uh-huh. Now, he was at 29, so this is before you...
That's card room.
Uh-huh.
That's the second place that goes after the bale of cotton's opened up. Goes from the open room to the card room. That's drawing,
Uh-huh.
where they make the drawing at.
It's still drawing, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was this a dusty place to work?
Lord, yeah, every dusty. Had a lint, you'd look like a snowman.
See a woman cleaning here?
Mm-hmm.
Did that lint ever bother you?
No, you get used to it first day or two.
Uh-huh.
It'll tickle your nose and burn your eyes. After the first day or two, you won't pay any attention at all.
It never bothered you over time?
Mm-mm. No. They claim now, excuse me, they claim now that it'll give you black lung.
Uh-huh.
But now, where it will or not, I don't know. I couldn't say.
No. Are those winders or is that spinning?
No, that's a, let me see the bottom of it. That's the jacks. That goes from drawing to the jacks. That's jacks again. That's the opener room.
I noticed that only blacks seem to be working here. What was the situation when you came into the mills?
Only place where the blacks worked was in the open room.
Uh-huh.
And then they moved them up in the picker room. And when I come out, the picker room as far as they got.
So they never got to be spinners or anything while you were in the mill?
No. No, they just went from the opening room. That's where you open up the bales of cotton and start it. And they worked on that.
Did they ever try to put blacks in any of the other divisions?
No, then that, why, I don't know that, but they never did even move them up in.
Yeah.
That was all men, there wasn't no women in that.
Now, would there be white supervisors or black supervisors for this?
White, all white, yeah.
Even for the opening room?
Yeah, that's all the supervisors are white.
Now this is a black woman.
Yeah.
I wonder how we happen to
And
get
he's
that.
black too.
Now that right there is something, I don't know what that is.
Could be in the north.
Good, yeah, probably.
We didn't have that kind of machinery.
I think that this is some footage from northern cotton mills.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
That must be where they have that mule spinning, what they call them, mule spinning.
Mm-hmm.
That mule spinning is something I never was acquainted with.
Now these girls seem to be all kind of dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was for the movies.
Oh, in there, well, you could wear, in that part, you could wear, from open room on up, you could wear nice, decent clothes.
You could.
Yeah, that lint, you take a blow pipe and blow it right off of you.
Uh-huh.
You
I
can
see.
blow it all off.
Do you ever recall anybody referring to you as a lint head?
No, not really. No, I don't reckon I have.
In a lot of these, you only see one or two people at
The
these
machine,
machines.
yeah.
Now that's not, I mean, there's just not a lot of people in some of these rooms here.
No,
Is that, what do you think about that?
Well, one man can operate one machine all right.
Now this is a dye works, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You never worked in the dye work, did you?
Mm-mm. No. No, all my work was in the spinning room. Spinning room and the spool room and winder room.
Now what's this? This isn't weaving.
No, that's the best I could see it. It looked like it might have been the drawing room.
Uh-huh, yeah.
People
That's
say-
some of that work is tedious work.
Mm-hmm. What's this happening here?
That's where they're fixing to take off a new spool. They got that spool full
I see.
and fixing to change spools now.
What were the relationships like between young men and young women in the mills?
Well, you didn't have time to talk much, but most of the women, they was on their job and man was on theirs. They wasn't right side by side most of the time. Now me, a dolphin, I was among all the women. The women spin and the boys dolphed the yarn off.
Yeah.
So we had to be in the same alley. We had one of them. But you didn't have time to stop and talk with them. You could speak, say a word or two. But if they caught you standing talking, man, they'd eat you up. A lot of times they'd fire you. Caught you over 2 or 3 times.
Was this like the room you were in?
No, that's the best I can see. It looks like that is Yeah, that's a weave shop.
Weaving, yes.
Yeah, that's all the weaving was in a different apartment.
You were in the weave shop, were you?
No.
I mean, but you visited it.
Oh yeah, I'd visited.
Is that was the place where the sound was so?
Oh yeah, at Hammond, it'd knock you. Hear drums out, and you'd just bam, 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 all the time. See, every time that shuttle went one in, that piece of wood would knock it back. What they call a shuttle arm. You can notice they're on the go all the time. They never stop. And back then, if you stopped and your boss caught you, he wouldn't warn you not over 2 or 3 times. You'd be gone. That's why I say it. It's just about like prison. Wasn't much difference.
And if you got fired, then you had to leave the village.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they wanted you to move right then.
So did
That's where it's going into cloth right there in the weave shop.
I don't see anybody working any of those machines.
You get used to it. It's just a routine thing. You see, like that woman doing.
Yeah.
She's continually, the whole 8 hours, like that.
Did you ever try to get out?
Ever try to get out?
Yeah, try to find something else to do.
Well, no, not really, 'cause I was young, and I got used to it, and after they made the changes and everything, after Roosevelt got it straightened out, it really wasn't too bad. It was regular work, but it wasn't a slave driving like it'd been at, no. And you had a little more freedom. And on weekends, you was out on your own.
So,
Pardon?
Some people have been talking to us about short time, that they get called in and they'd only get 2 hours or 4 hours.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah, I worked a long time, 4-hour shifts. They got down to 4 hours, and then they got down to maybe 1 day a week. That's when I'd go do something else. So when they get down like that, I'd just go up somewhere. I was used to farming. I'd go back to Alabama. Me and my brother had a little farm out there. I went out there one time, made a crop out there while it was on short time, and come back.
now, I've read a lot of letters that were written to Mr. Roosevelt and Hugh Johnson, who was the head of the NRA in '33, where they would complain that the mill wasn't complying to those codes. You know, the 8-hour day, or the minimum wage for the week.
Yeah. Oh, they tried to get by. I'll
Can you
have
talk
to say,
about that?
they tried to get by with everything they could, and they would try to work you overtime, and see if you worked over 40 hours, they're supposed to pay you time and half time for all those 40 hours. They would try to get by with that. They'd try to get you to lose time on the next week, put it on next week, and then lose to save that, to make it back that way. It's like I said, they cut every corner they could.
Did everyone in your village, in the mill, did they know what the codes, those Blue Eagle codes were supposed to be?
Yeah, everybody on the village knows. But it's like I said a while ago, everybody was afraid to say anything, because they knew they was automatically fired. And that's the reason today that I don't mind talking about it, because I can't be fired now. And like I told you out on the porch a while ago, I think the young generation coming on ought to know what people have been through with, and what for the laboring people. And I fall back to the president right there. The only president that we ever had that cared anything about the working person at all was Roosevelt. And he was for the working man. And that's why he was hated so by all the textile stockholders and all. See, these stockholders, they were mopping up. They were doing good getting to work for nothing. That was one of the crookedest, unlawfulest things I ever witnessed. I've seen people leave that mill in the 6 weeks crying like a baby, work hard trying to have a job and make good hands. But they tell them, no, you couldn't qualify for the job. We got to get a new crew. Well, there wasn't no right to that at all.
That's interesting.
I had an overseer at sergeant one time. This was way on, I guess, before my day, 'cause he was an old man then. But he said he worked for a dime a day. And his boss got mad with me, sweeping, got mad with him one day and took his broom, threw it out the window, and turned around and told him if he'd go downstairs and go out the window and get that broom, bring it back, he gave him a dime. So he got a whole day's work for going, getting the broom, and his boss stuck and threw it out the window. Just such as that. Now that's what they'd go through with it. But most people don't think times has ever been like that here.
Yeah, that's true.
It's always somewhere else.
How much education did you have?
I got 6th grade. When I finished 6th grade, I'd had to went somewhere and boarded, and my daddy, he didn't see time for that. 'Cause my daddy, he believed in working his kids. And I had a cousin had told him if he'd let him come stay with him, that his board wouldn't cost me nothing. He still went and said, no, the rest of them can't go in.
Because then,
Yeah, back
How many
then,
brothers and sisters?
yeah, all of our brothers and sisters, when they got through the grammar school, and they had to leave home to go to high school, and the older people wouldn't let them go. That wasn't right, but, well, I could see their point, because it was work then to make a living, and you had to go.
did you ever miss it?
And did I miss it?
Mhm.
I miss it till today. Yeah, I miss it. I could use. Everybody says that I always done what I wanted to do, but I have 2 daughters that graduated from high school, and both of them has taught school, and a lot of them has come to me to help them with different things a lot of times. But that was just a gift. I'll just have to say, that was a gift.
What a shame.
I used to enjoy school. I love school. The last 2 years I went to school, I got to go a half a day at a time. And my daddy told me, said, the first day at dinner that you lay the kids in that mule out, you're going to have to quit. And I would run through the woods from the schoolhouse to the field, because I knowed he'd make me quit. And I wasn't the only one done it. 2 of my brothers done the same thing. We had to, because we noted that if we missed being late one day, I run through the woods one day, and one of my cousins was cutting wood down in the woods. Tried to stop me. Said, what you running through the woods for, Lonnie? I said, I got to. I ain't got time to talk to you. I got to go. He got in his car and come on up there. See if was something the matter. Mother told him, said, no, he had to get that mule out to go to work. So I really didn't have time to talk to you. He said, well, I didn't know. I was just checking. That's another thing. Back then, people looked sort of out for one another. But they don't do that no more. I've had a hard time in my life. It's been It's been rough. But I'll have to say this, the Lord has really blessed me through life too. The Lord has blessed me in many, many ways.
Well, you got a fine place to live here.
Yeah.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
There was 6 boys and 6 girls. There was 2 years difference in every one of them. There was a boy and a girl, and a boy and a girl all the way down. They got to me and Lloyd. There was 2 boys along together.
Now, was Oscar your brother too?
Yeah. I see. I'm one of them brothers, Arthur, Charlie, Oscar, Lloyd, and Toy. I have one brother living now, and he's in Detroit, Michigan. He's a baby boy. He's been in Detroit for 50 years, I guess.
Why did he leave the South?
Well, Oscar, he went up there and went to work. He decided he wanted to go up there and stay with him. So he got up there and married up there, and he just never did come back.
Why did Oscar go to Detroit?
Bill went on short time, and he went up there and went to work for Chrysler Corporation. And he worked with them for several years, and then went to Ford, worked for Ford. Oscar, he didn't textile too awfully much. I'd say, at the most, he didn't put over 10 years in it the most. He said he'd find something else to do.
So your brother's still in Detroit?
Yeah, Toy. Yeah, he's still in Detroit. He's still working. He says he's going to work. He's in Flint Inc. now, and the reason I can see why that he don't retire, see the hands on the company. And he said that he would lose more dividends every year than he would draw Social Security. Well, I don't blame him. I wouldn't retire at that, because it'd cost too much. Plus he'd lose his insurance too, and they got an insurance that pays a doctor bill, hospital bill, medical bill, everything for him and his wife both.
How old is he?
He's 69. He'd be 70 his next birthday. I used to tell a tale on him. He broke his leg when he was a kid, and one leg was shorter than the other. People ask me, say, how come Toy one leg shorter than the other? I say, he went around the Alabama mountain and walked the same way all the time, made one leg shorter than the other, and that's all us other boys, we had sense enough to, we'd go around one way a while and then turn around and go back the other way. That made our legs grow even.
Do you know that story?
Yeah. You know, you tell a lot of people that. One old man looked at me and said, I didn't know they'd do that.
Well, Judy, I think we better make arrangements to come back and talk with you.
Should I show him anything else
I
helpful?
don't think so.
Anytime, I'll be glad to talk with you anytime.
You're doing wonderful.
Help you all I can, cause it,
Thank you.
That'll be great.
any way I
As
can.
I say, the teachers out at the high school here were very eager to get this. And that's a big change, because a few years back they would have been afraid to.
Yeah, yeah.
But they seem to be very open now. Why do you suppose that change is?
That is really, I really can't understand that part of myself, but well, it's like we're talking about. They got to hold back some way, like it's a fear. I reckon it's cause they live under fear so long. Reckon that could be it.
I guess, and these young teachers haven't had that fear yet.
Yeah. And that, if it ain't that, I don't know why, but I don't mind telling. I don't. 'Cause I won't ever forget those days. I'll tell you why. When you experience something like that, you won't never forget it.
That's right. Okay.
Boys are working then. and we're the working men, and was going to be with the working men and stand by his side, and he did. He did what he said he would do. He also said he was going to get an 8-hour law, which at that time people said that would never happen. No, that wouldn't pass, but it did. Well, that's when they know that it was overruled and overpowered. And that brought the change on.
Now, he also, after that big strike, you remember there was a big strike in 34.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When he called that off, he said that the employers promised that they wouldn't blacklist people or kick them out of the village.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't happen.
No.
What happened around here?
Well, they could find, like I said a while ago, they could find, so when they wanted to fire you, they could find so many things to fire you for and use other excuses.
I see that.
And they got by with everything they could get by with. They're still done that. And they know how to get by with a lot of things too. They were sharp. They were sharp with it.
Because you may remember, part of the code, textile code, NRA 7A, said that the workers had a right to form unions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But what people tell us, the employers didn't pay much attention to that.
No. Well, another thing, they didn't organize a union. They called it a wildcat outfit, which that's all it was. There wasn't no meaning to it, the way they set it up and the way they was doing. If it organized a union and organized a labor's union and organized it right, they would have had something to win on. But Lord, how they done it?
Did you know any of the people who were connected with the union?
Oh Lord, I know a lot of them. Yeah, I know a lot of them. There's Sweatmans, they got fired on account of it. And Johnsons, they got fired on account of it. Lord, I could just figure and think of a lot of people. Coleman's, they got fired on account of it. It is,
Any people who still left around here got fired?
yeah, there was a lot of them around here got fired.
But I mean, whom you know are still alive around here.
No, that I can't say about that
Yeah.
now, because there've been so many died.
Well, you might think about that when we come back. You might be able to tell us about that.
Well, I'll be thinking on it and try to find out.
We found a couple of women who had to leave the village. But we'd like to find some more if we have.
Yeah,
It's just kind of proof of that.
yeah. Well, there was a lot of them that, everybody was in that union. They got fired. It was on account of the union. But they used other things, you see,
Yeah.
for it. They couldn't come out and say just firing them on account of being in the union.
Yeah.
Because the government had a kickback on them then. But they could find so many other things to fire you for.
Was there any connection between what was happening here and what was happening in LaGrange?
It's about on the same order. All that was on the same order. Like people from here to go to LaGrange to come up here. It was into it and all.
What happened if somebody got fired here and they went to LaGrange? Would they have a chance to get a job then?
No, they blackballed them. No, that's the reason a lot of them that got in that union. They never got another job nowhere with textile. First thing they tell them, yeah, you was in that union, you get fired at each place. Well, they were blackballing you. There wasn't no really. I know a few people that never did work textile no more on that account. I'm glad to see the change made, I tell you. It was pitiful back then.
Well, I teach a course students
Mhm.
and get them to go and talk to their grandparents. And they are shocked to find out what it was.
Yeah, I imagine so, yeah.
But it's a good way to teach history. It makes them
That's
realize,
right, yeah.
makes them realize.
I don't know why a lot of people, they just won't come forward. To, and,
Well, part of it, I tell you, is people haven't been asking them.
well, yeah, that's part of it too,
Because
yeah.
It's surprising how often this happens. I've been doing this for the last several years. The parents learn a lot that they have never heard of before.
Right, yeah,
Because their children are asking their parents,
yeah.
Daddy, why did you tell me? You never asked. Or they're afraid they're going to be boring or something.
It, people now has got the best chance that they've ever had in their life. And they better be taking advantage of it too. Because things are changing back a little bit now. And I'm afraid before it's over with, it's going to get pretty well back like it once was. I hope it don't.
Well, I'm afraid that's my conviction too. Because we study the 20s and 30s
Mhm.
and now as parity, see. Well, in 1929, there was a largest gap in recorded economy in this country.
Yeah.
Between the rich and the poor.
Mhm.
The rich are up here and the poor down here.
Yeah.
Then during the Depression, Roosevelt and all of that, it got about like this.
Yeah.
And then during the World War II, when everybody had a job and you couldn't spend the money,
Right.
it got to be up like this.
Mhm.
A lot of us were in the Army. I was in for 4.5 years.
Mhm.
Had to save money because you couldn't spend it. It got about like this.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's going back like this again.
Yeah.
And we are now right back about where we were in 29.
Yeah, it's coming. I'm afraid it's going to come back down about like it was.
I'm afraid so.
I don't know how y'all feel about our president now, but we got a president now. He's not for the working man at all. He's for the rich and the rich owner.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right there.
Yeah, it's
I'd like to find a good Democrat.
Well,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, because if we don't hear from people like you, then times will go back to the way we were, and we won't take any of the advantages that we might have,
yeah.
which might be very few in the next couple of
Well, that's the reason I'm glad to work with all I can, because if you can get people to understand this and have something that they can hear and go by and know by, it's going to make them have a thought to put things back on the right track again. That is the main reason that I'm willing to work with y'all to do that, because everybody sat back with a shut mouth, and that's just going to move up much faster, just like it was back in the 20s.
Okay, now, we don't know when exactly we're going to come out yet.
Well, I think we might be able to try and come. Tell me something, sir. I don't mean to pry.